Kia ora, good evening. Southland Mayor Frana Cardno has announced she will not stand for re-election in upcoming council elections. Mrs Cardno is the longest continuously serving mayor in the country and also holds the title of longest serving female mayor in New Zealand history. She was first elected to the role of mayor in 1992 and has been involved with the Southland District Council since 1989. Mrs Cardno says the decision to step down comes after much deliberation and will allow her to spend more time with her family. The local government elections will be held in October this year. An Invercargill house was destroyed by a suspicious fire overnight. Firefighters were called to this Yathan Street property at around 3 o'clock this morning and took around 2.5 hours to get it under control, with concerns about neighbouring properties. The house was unoccupied at the time of the fire, with tenants in the process of moving house. Investigators were on scene this morning looking at the cause of the blaze. Detective Constable Scott McConaughey says at this stage the fire is being treated as suspicious.
At this stage it's early on in the investigation and we just like to treat it as suspicious until shown otherwise.
Now, this is the 5th suspicious fire in Invercargill in recent weeks. How much of a concern is that for police?
I think we take each occurrence on its own merits, and if we can see a link then obviously we'll put that together, but at this stage each individual fire is being treated on its own merits.
Now, at this point, do you have any idea as to the cause of this fire?
It's too early to say in the investigation.
Now, are you looking for witnesses or anyone with information relating to this?
Definitely. If anyone has any information regarding the fire or may have seen anyone around the area prior to or after, including vehicles, then can they please contact the Invercargill Police.
A police pursuit during rush hour traffic in Invercargill late yesterday afternoon saw a vehicle reach speeds before the chase was abandoned due to public safety and dangerous driving. Police say the driver of a white 1998 Commodore sedan was travelling at speed on Clyde Street at around 5:15 and failed to stop for police. The driver then drove away recklessly, mounting the roundabout on Tweed Street, cutting off other vehicles. The vehicle then continued on Clyde Street before entering the roundabout at Tay Street, travelling at speed before turning off at Spey or Yarrow Street. Police want to hear from anyone who saw the pursuit or with information about the identity of the driver. SBS Bank has announced an 18% increase in profit for the 2013 year. The bank's operating surplus has risen from $17.7 million in the last financial year to $20.9 million in the 2013 financial year. SBS Bank Chief Executive Ross Smith describes the result as pleasing given the market. Growth in the 2013 year has again been modest, with the South Island and provincial areas where the bank is represented seeing slow growth. The coming year is expected to bring changes and challenges, among them a move to Auckland's housing market.
We've looked at Auckland now for probably 3 or 4 years. The reality is it's almost a third of the population. It's the only area that's showing significant growth. And so we've thought that it's probably the right time for us to get into that market and do it in a controlled fashion to ensure that we're not overexposing ourselves to risk, which is obviously an issue that can occur in a rising market like it is.
So what will you be doing to break into that market?
Yeah, we'll be using brokers or third-party originators that will be originating loans for us in line with our credit policy, and we certainly will retain the role of approving those loans. So we think we can do it in a controlled fashion and mitigate the risk.
How risky do you think this is?
Well, given that the government's concerned about it, it would suggest that there is some risk in terms of where pricing is in Auckland. So you have to be a bit careful going into a market where you have limited knowledge and in a sort of inflated price time as well. So we are conscious of that, and as I said, we'll do it in a controlled fashion.
How many customers are you hoping to pick up there?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you exactly, but we would certainly be looking at 300 to 400 mortgages in the first year if we can do it.
Mid to long term, how much growth do you see for SBS in that Auckland market?
We don't see it being huge, but if we can sort of get anywhere between 3 to 5% of the market, we'd be very, very happy.
How challenging is it going to be competing with the big banks in a market like Auckland?
very challenging. There's no question at the moment, it is extremely competitive out there, and the banks are fighting for every single bit of business they can, and so we'll be in amongst that. So we don't think it's going to be easy at all.
Economically, is it going to bring big value to SBS?
Well, we'd rather hope so. We're not going to this not to make a margin out of it, so most definitely. And if we can grow in Auckland and I guess give credibility to our national position, then I think it would be great for SBS and certainly will contribute to the strength of the organisation.
After the break, why an Invercargill teen has had the best birthday present ever. Welcome back. $1 million has been given to a project designed to provide more affordable housing in Arrowtown. Government has announced it will give $1 million grant to the Queenstown Lakes Community Housing Trust to go toward building 10 social housing units in Arrowtown for low to moderate income families. Land for the $3.6 million project was transferred from Queenstown Lakes District Council to the Trust. The additional 28 bedrooms will house families and assist them into home ownership through a range of saving options. Queenstown's housing market is the second most expensive in the country. Giving parents confidence and a sense that they can cope is the aim behind a series of seminars being held in Invercargill, Gore and Winton. Presenter John Cowan says topics include parent-child relations, building resilient children and firm, fair, friendly discipline.
One of the things that surprises parents is that it's the things you do around discipline that really work. It's the building of the atmosphere, the establishment of the boundaries, the good communication. And if you've got those things in place, the discipline just sort of happens very naturally. When people think of the word discipline, they often hear in their heads just punishment, and that's a very small part of it. It's actually helping your children make better choices in the future.
So you've had good numbers along to these seminars that you've been running. Are there any common threads that you're seeing coming through that perhaps youth or parents are facing in this day and age?
Well, at different ages there's different challenges. With teenagers, for instance, big challenges around technology, especially when their kids seem so competent with the technology and parents' heads are spinning a bit around it. And they know they're supposed to be guides and protectors of their children, but how do they do it when their kids seem to know everything and they know so little? But we try and tell parents that even though they may not understand the technology, they understand people, they understand the world, they've got instincts around things that their kids don't have yet. Parents know about creeps and predators and frauds, and so understand risk better than their young people, even if the young people understand the gadgets better. So we try and give parents an idea that, yep, they can function in this area too.
As far as socialisation, when we're talking about technology, do you think that there's some signs that children aren't as well socialised on a personal level and on a one-to-one level because of screen time?
No. I mean, there's lots of downsides of technology, but research has looked into this. You know, people thought, well, people are going to be losing their interpersonal skills because of technology, but no, that doesn't seem to be the case. In fact, it's a great boon for shy kids to be able to practice in a more measured way the way they communicate through, Facebook and other ways of communicating. So for them, it can be a boon. But there's other big downsides. One of them is just simply, if you're spending all that time in front of a screen, you're not doing other things like sleeping. Today's youngsters are the most sleep-deprived sector of society. I mean, they're getting about 2 hours less sleep a night than their bodies really need. I remember hearing someone say it's like they're going to school in the morning after having had a couple of beers. Their performance is so impaired just by sleep deprivation.
The plight of the endangered hooker sea lion proved a winner for two young Southland filmmakers at the Green Screen Environmental Short Film Awards. Students Liam Van Eden and John Martin Fabre won their third Green Screen trophy for their movie Nearly Lost, filmed in the Catlins. 18 entries were received for the awards, now in their third year, held by Environment Southland to encourage young people to think about environmental issues. Lumsden School also took home an award this year, winning the Year 1 to 8 section with the movie Under the Bridge, which looked at how to protect our waterways. An Invercargill teen has had what he says is the best birthday present ever, with dozens of people getting behind a special surprise. Staff at Southland Hospital's Children's Ward surprised patient Sam Small last Thursday by putting together a video to celebrate his 16th birthday. The video, which was uploaded to YouTube 5 days ago, has already attracted nearly 5,500 views. Sam was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia as a toddler and has been treated by staff at the hospital for nearly 14 years. He says he counts staff as his second family and is astonished by the attention the videos received.
Well, I went down to the hospital on my birthday and they took me into one of the rooms and then they all threw these streamers out and started to play the video. I was so not expecting the video, so it was kind of awesome.
And why does it mean so much to you?
Because they're my second family, mum and dads, aunties, all that. They're always there and just amazing people.
So at the moment the video's actually got just over 5,500 hits. So was that a reaction you were expecting?
I wasn't expecting that many. I was expecting about at least 20 from the whole hospital, but the manager of the children's ward shared it with the CEO, and now the CEO is sharing it with the Ministry of Health. So hopefully it will get up into the 20,000s or so.
And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, highlights of the Highlanders 15 versus the Southland 15 in Dunedin. That's up next after the weather. Good night.